Hello, human beings. Maria here, and I've coerced Marshall to be in this movie with me on the MTA channel. Against his will, his feet are tied to the chair, and I've got like spikes from a porcupine I found wandering around a DC park stuck into the back. So if he tries to leave, he'll get pierced.
She's making me smile right now.
And we're filming today because we are just a few days out from Pro Tour Dominaria, and it's pretty cool, really excited, and we're bringing back an old MTA favorite, which is Pro Tour Bingo.
Bingo!
You can download your bingo form right under this video. There's a link, and play along at home. I know, I love it.
I like Pro Tour Bingo a lot.
This is like our 4th time we've done it. I'm not sure. We did it way, way, way back in the day before.
It's about time you dusted off Pro Tour Bingo.
Oh, I agree. All right, so we're going to do it, and we're going to walk you through all of these squares as kind of a primer for what to watch out for this coming weekend at the Pro Tour. So let's start on the upper top left. Someone calls Song of Fraley's broken or busted. Marshall, you're the #1 offender of this.
Yeah, so...
But it's also true.
So when you say someone, can that be me? Because I have called it that many times. I actually had this card in the pre-release. And like when we did the set review, we thought like this card has a lot of upside, but maybe kind of stinks at other times. And I played it, and I actually tweeted a picture of it because I was just like, this card is stupid. Like I might have said broken or busted, but it is now in that upper tier of like mythic uncommon level.
People say that.
I might say it. Like,
I mean,
I'm going to be in the booth during the limited round, and I might go, oh, you know, blah, 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 open the busted uncommon. Like, it might be me.
But the thing is when I saw it, I initially thought, what is this? Like maybe 60% of the time it's good, 40% of the time it sucks.
That's about what I thought too.
But it is not that.
No, the thing that I didn't quite grasp until actually playing with it was how good it is even if you're not doing that like dump my hand in the first few turns. If you play it on turn 6 and you don't even cast a single spell off of it, it feels like overrun, right? Like it feels like you're like chapter 1 go and your opponent's like, you know, because they look at your 4 creatures, like what do they do? Just kill all of them? They would have done that.
Do you know this song that goes like this? Chapter 1.
No.
Every day, every day,
no.
Every day I write the book.
No.
That's all I can think about when I see sagas. Someone back me up in the comments here. Okay, #2, Wizard's Lightning to the face. Pew, 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 pew.
So this will probably happen. One of the important modes is for Wizard's Lightning to go upstairs and finish off the opponent. It will only happen in scenarios where the opponent or where the player knows that they can finish the game and like that, like they can string together a couple of burn spells or just kill the opponent with it. But it happens 15% of the time?
Yeah, it's not a lot.
It's not a lot, but it'll probably happen.
Okay, expect it. An aura on a hexproof turtle.
Oh yeah,
this happens all the time.
This does. This is kind of a go-to for limited because you can pick up Cold Water Snapper late-ish. It's not like a super high demand card, and the things that you'll usually see on it are Arcane Flight, which is pretty easy to pick up as well, which is pretty good. It makes it into a 5/6 flying hexproof. It kind of makes it into like the Zahid. Build your own Zahid. Yeah. But the thing that you don't see often is Dub.
I have never seen Sir Turtle. Actually.
Yeah, they don't dub up the turtle.
Come to think about it.
But you know what they do put on it?
They're not very chivalrous.
On Sarah's turtles, yeah. I don't think they care. on Sarah's wings.
No, that's
the power combo. Good game. Yeah, people will splash for On Sarah's wings in a turtle deck just to make it happen.
Should you just splash for On Sarah's wings?
Yes.
There you go.
It is that good.
All right, some goofball makes a face at the camera. So who do you think this could be, Marshall? Me?
Look, I'm just saying you're the most likely goofball to make a face at the...
I was like, Corey Baumeister.
Yeah, okay, he's on the list too. But you get a lot of camera time with Rich at the news desk, and he says a lot of nonsense, and I could see
painful puns.
Yeah, the Office style like gym shot where
do you want me to let's practice?
Yeah, do it. You do it now, right into the camera. Perfect. Or do a goofy face though, like. Oh, God.
Squirrel face. I can do a Muppet, like when Kermit gets mad.
Like. These all count. By the way, these all count. If she does any of these, that counts.
Okay.
Somebody else doing a face, a little less likely. They're pretty serious in the feature match area.
Yeah. Night Cruise, a Heart of KIRAN. So what deck are we talking about here?
Oh, so there's a black-white deck in Standard that this could happen in. They run History of Benalia, and like I think Knight of Malice, or maybe the white one. I can't remember, but one of the knights. It's a little tricky to have it happen because you need 3 power. The Knight of Malice, or whichever one, the Knight of Grace or Malice, whichever one they run, can get it if there's a white permanent or a black permanent, depending on the one. And then when you chapter 3, you're not going to sing, right? When you chapter 3 History of Benalia, your knights are big enough. I would say it's probably unlikely, but possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to snake down here. Riley makes up a non-existent player nickname. So Riley's known for his Australian nonsense in the booth, and some of the things he says,
Why do you have to throw Australia under the bus?
Well,
it's just Riley nonsense.
It'll be stuff that they say in Australian
Australia
soccer.
Remain their dignity. It's just a Riley thing.
And I'm just like, is that a real thing people say?
He tries a little hard to push some of the nickname narratives through.
Colorful.
I would say this is a likely square to get.
Okay. TEFERI tucks himself. Well, Marshall, I know this makes you feel.
I think I know what you meant by that.
That's literally what's happening. That's what it's called. I learned about it on the podcast the other week. It's called tucking. And so TEFERI is going to tuck himself back under your library.
Thinking of my favorite movie right now. I'm not going to tell you what it is.
It's a good movie.
This will likely happen.
Yeah.
I think this white-blue deck is going to be popular. It's one of the more powerful decks in Standard. It's a pretty solid baseline, hard to hate out. And this is part of one of their win conditions, is TEFERI putting himself 3 from the bottom, even on an empty library, and repeating that process after having ultimated to make sure that they don't get decked. And they're just waiting for you to draw your last card and lose the game.
This seems like we're going to see some long games in the feature match area.
That is actually the biggest knock on the blue-white deck, is that it can be very difficult to finish because they don't have win conditions. They have like a copy of Gideon and then those TEFERIs. And out of that, it's just sitting there and waiting for you to deck yourself. It means that the control decks get to have all answers. That's the dream, right? One of the best control decks
Pure
I
control,
ever saw.
as they say.
Yeah, one of the best control decks I've ever seen had lands as a win condition.
Yeah.
And that meant that instead of casting a spell
terrible
to win the game,
creatures.
right, they could just sit there and use all their control elements. And that's somewhat what we have here with this TEFERI deck.
Rekindling Phoenix rekindles 3 times.
Ooh, 3 times is tough. So 2 times happens.
Yep.
I've seen it. 3rd time, yeah, you think you're winning that game. I mean,
absolutely.
They have to use creatures or spells to kill that thing.
They're trying to kill that thing that many times.
Probably
You've
dead
got
by
it.
then. Yeah, for sure.
Someone at their first Pro Tour on camera.
Oh, this is a good one. I don't know if it'll happen, but
it usually does.
It
right?
usually does. There's not that many players in their first Pro Tour at each one, but one of them always seems to put a run together. And I'll tell you what, you might be thinking right now, like, well, how will I know? Like, I don't know who's on their second Pro Tour. I'll tell you.
Oh, yeah.
Because when I'm in the booth and that happens, it's just a great narrative, right? It's just
I love it. I love it.
And they're inevitably up against some big name player because that's why they're in the feature match area in the first place. And somebody will tell me in my ear or on a computer that says, this is Blankety Blank's first Pro Tour. And I'll be like, hey guys, this is their first Pro Tour. Because it's just kind of a fun thing for me to say, like, built a narrative. So you'll know. Don't worry.
A broken sleeve. This one happens with some regularity.
I usually call it a flat tire when it's happening. And because you have to stop and repair it and then you're back on the road.
And you usually keep one in your trunk.
Yeah. Yeah.
And your trunk is your deck box?
That's it. See, she gets it. But
you don't have to like call AAA or get one of those things. What is this? Is this a pump?
A jack.
A jack.
Yeah. No, you don't need to do that. The question I have is who?
So there's a few notorious sleeve breakers on the Pro Tour. And the one I know about is Brad Nelson.
Oh, he's a pretty rough shuffler.
Yep.
Josh Utter-Leighton.
What does he do?
Well, he takes the cards and just shoves them together. Like, I tried to repeat it once and broke like 5 sleeves and probably a card. But he actually knows how to do it. It looks bad, but he can do it repeatedly.
Really fast. Oh, now that you're saying it, I remember it.
Yeah. You know, but I do feel like that's sleeve risky.
Yeah, sleeve risky.
Yeah.
Somebody gets decked. So we were talking about this with TEFERI, this being a win condition.
Yeah, so that very well may happen. One thing you'll see is that sometimes people concede. Are you counting it if they concede to inevitable decking,
Yes.
or do they actually have to go to draw their last card?
I'm going to count it, make an executive decision here. Okay. If they concede because they know they're going to get decked, then I will accept it.
Then that counts. Okay. Yep. So that will most likely happen then. The other way it could happen, now I'm a bit of a dreamer here, but you can mill people out in limited. There's a sub-theme mill deck that stinks. It's terrible, and it's really hard to get people dead, but I have seen one trick, a combo. Hammer at Explorer, 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, you mill them for 4. And Helm of the Host, which copies it every turn. Look, 4 cards is 10% of your starting library.
Do you hear the sound of those sleigh bells, Marshall? We're in magical Christmas land.
Dude, it's 2 cards. One's a common, one's a rare. Maybe we'll see.
I guess it could happen. That'd be
God,
pretty sweet.
if it happens, I'm gonna be like, see?
It would be so cool.
Yeah, that would be sweet.
Still had all these.
Oh, this is great.
I love this.
We actually had this at the GP.
Yes.
On the weekend. And it was a savage. So by the way, still had all of these, of course, is when you show your opponent your hand after you won the game. Like I could have beat you with these 2, but I didn't even need them. What people generally do though is that's considered bad manners, you know, to like show them and tell them about how great your hand was after you just beat them.
What if you're like, hey, you really didn't have a chance, check it out, I still had all these kills.
It's considered rub-ins. It's still considered like...
I feel better when somebody shows it to me.
I do too, but a lot of people, like, I also feel fine when somebody says GG if it wasn't a GG, right? Like, but a lot of people feel like you're rubbing it in.
Your next hot take here.
But what they'll usually do, though, is sort of passively do that, and they'll lay them on the table face up, like maybe on their lands. And that happened at the GP this weekend, too, with some 2 mythic rares or whatever. It was stupid.
It was Mutani and Mildrotha.
Yeah, and the player won that game very easily.
He definitely did still have
that is
all
still
these.
Had all these, yeah.
Yargles are free space because, obviously, Yargle.
Okay.
Death by Gideon is up next, which we mentioned can happen in blue-white control.
Yeah, it's a little bit hard to happen because some of them don't have that many Gideons, 1 or maybe 2 or whatever. But look, if they're holding a handful of counterspells on an empty board, they're going to be like, sure, take 4, take 4. Because, again, we mentioned the deck before. Actually, decking them takes a long time. It can be hard to finish a match. If they see a line of play that can kill you with Gideon, they will do it.
5 counters on a walking ballista. So this is in reference to the black-green snake deck, which I played against actually a lot at Grand Prix Seattle.
Okay.
And
how often did you see 5 counters?
Never.
Yeah. You win the game a lot of times before that, right?
Yeah.
Like you get to 4 with like an activation and your opponent's like, yeah, I can't beat this. Still, it can happen. I mean, you know, the snake allows for explosive jumps in counters. Rishkar can like dump a couple of extra.
Yeah, that's true. Or the Gear Hulk.
The Gear, yeah. So there, I like this one. I think 5 is the really sweet spot because 4 you don't automatically win the game. But my God, if you get a 5/5 walking ballista, like there's not very many decks that are beating that. Yeah.
Teferi tucks another Teferi. How do you feel about this one, Marshall?
Well, I mean, I support Teferi.
Are you a fan of RuPaul's Drag Race?
I think this will. Can this happen?
Sure,
Probably.
Why not? Because you'd have to, if you want to replace it.
Like in case it's going to be ultimated or something. Yeah, sure.
All right.
I'm in.
Watch for it. Goblin Chainwhirlers enter the battlefield. Trigger kills at least 3 creatures.
Yeah, I like this. Especially the green deck, the Stompy deck.
Yep.
It kind of doesn't have an alternate game plan that involves holding back Llanowar Elves and that kind of thing. So I wouldn't be surprised at all to see it pick off like maybe 2 Llanowar Elves and a creature that was in combat this turn or something like that. That happens. And Chainwhirler's ability is very powerful. So
I hate this card.
Yeah, you're not alone. A lot of people hate it.
I'm actually pretty angry about it. Like I don't usually get upset about Magic cards being printed.
I don't think I've ever heard you complain about it.
But I feel like it just kills so many potential decks that it makes me sad. Like it basically shuts off any token deck of any stripe whatsoever.
Yes, those have been severely crippled by this card.
So there you go. 4-color draft deck. How often do we see this in Dominaria?
This is interesting. The tools are there for a 4-color draft deck. You almost never see it. It usually ends up being 3. You've got Growth from the Ashes and Skittering Surveyor. And those are the cards that will allow you to go. You don't often need to go into a 4th color. You find that you go into other colors to try to get what you need.
Your removal?
Removal, a bomb, a 3rd color, a 3-color bomb, or something like that.
Sure.
going into the fourth color almost always in this format makes your deck worse, and the card that you're going for can't overcome that gap. So I would say that while the tools are there, and if somebody wants to, they can, it's unlikely.
I've seen a sweet 5-color deck.
Me too. I've seen those.
It was
too.
a legendary base deck, and it was excellent.
Wait, how many? It didn't have any compasses in it, did it?
No.
Okay.
Just had Grow from the Ashes, and it had Raph, and it had several Jodas. Anyway,
Okay,
it was
well,
dumb.
That's deep.
KARN'S +1 reveals 2 lands.
Sure. That happens all the time. I mean, sometimes you're not even sad about it.
No.
You get one of them now.
It's not in your draw
Maybe
stuff.
one of them later. Yeah, that'll probably happen.
Messy mana base.
No.
I don't like this.
I'm thinking of some players right now.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say who.
Just completely messy
Like
lands.
the cards are all,
They're all like
mismatched basics, like strewn apart.
Strewn.
Is that one tapped? That's not a 90
It's
degree
like,
tap.
boop.
Yeah.
It's like an
Or
arena
25.
tap. Hashtag arena tap. Am I right? The Eldest Reborn returns a Planeswalker. So,
Oh, I've done this.
Marshall,
No, I'm not kidding. I have.
what did you return?
It was almost certainly incorrect to do it.
Okay, then it's definitely not going to be Karn, and it's
Yeah.
definitely not going to be Teferi.
Right, so that's actually relevant for this. So I got back Jaya Ballard.
Sure. Yeah. That
Because
card's, she's
I
not great.
wanted to.
Because you thought it would be cool.
Right. But there was a Keldon Raider that was probably better.
Yeah.
I just was like, whatever, I'm getting back a Planeswalker. And I used it. Like, I got to get rid of some extra lands and stuff. But there are 2 Planeswalkers in the set that are 100%, you want those.
Oh,
Karn and
absolutely.
Teferi, if you can get those back, there's almost no other card that you'd want. So it's hard. You know, those are mythics.
Yeah.
The matchup needs to happen. They need to die or get discarded. A lot needs to happen, but it's possible. And if those are in the graveyard, they are coming onto the battlefield. So.
And you know what? At DC this weekend, we saw somebody return an Omnivore, a Thallid Omnivore instead of a Jaya. So.
Yeah, which was certainly correct.
Yeah. Pay green for Gulta.
So this is interesting because the question is, like, I think we will see this almost for sure.
Yep.
Because the green Stompy deck just doesn't have a plan B. So if they've played a stalemated game or a game where they've curved out, they are slamming Gulta. Like if they've got, 8 power, they're slamming Gulta.
Gulta's if you got him.
Right, but the really interesting part is that they can do this as early as turn 3.
So the combo for turn 3 is your Llanowar Elf.
Yeah.
You've got your Steel Leaf Champion
You play that on turn 2.
on turn 2.
Yeah.
Then you play your Heart of Kiran.
Yep.
Okay, and then you crew it with your Steel Leaf Champion.
Yep.
And then you have 2 mana for Gulta.
Right. So that makes 5 power plus 4. That's 9. Plus the elf is 10, and then you have GG to cast Gulta.
Sick.
And that is insane. But again, you might think to yourself, I don't want to cast Gulta because I've already got a bunch of creatures, and if I get swept, then I won't. That's not actually how it plays out most of the time, because if they sweep your board, then Gulta's stuck in your hand for the most part anyway. So they usually just slam Gulta and say, I hope you don't have it. And so I think we'll see it for GG.
What about a hard cast Gulta?
For the full amount, 0% chance, I would say. Like, I'll look. that would be the ultra square.
Okay,
if that
ultra
goes.
square.
Yeah,
Slimefoot makes 2 tokens in a turn.
in other words, my happy place.
You're doing it.
Yeah. I mean, that is probably going to happen. So the deal with the Slimefoot decks is that's exactly what they're going for. It's not a rarity to see that happen in the sense that when they do the thing that they're trying to do, they get to that point in the game,
Right.
and then they go off. So I wouldn't be shocked to see that at all.
The Skin Witch gets kicked. Never kick a Skin Witch.
This is my favorite common in the whole set.
You love the Skin Witch, Marshall.
Okay, it's falling a little
Kick me and see what happens.
after the video.
I love the taste of noses and tongues. Continue.
It's a great card, and almost certainly will get kicked. The interesting thing is that you do play it on turn 2 when you need to be defensive, but your preferred mode is kicking the witch on turn 6 or whatever, whenever you have 6 mana.
Skin Witch.
Can we move to the next one?
I heard KFC has a new Skin Witch.
I can't keep it up.
Gross. That's like a double down?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh.
What?
And kick it. Right? Like at KFC. Oh, I'll take a Skin Witch.
And kick it.
And please.
That means you put like spicy sauce
It's
on
like
it?
smothered,
Gross.
kicked, gravied.
2 Hall of Famers play each other.
Oh, this one will probably happen. So, if you don't know, if you're in the Magic Hall of Fame, you do get an invite to every Pro Tour. So the question is, where are they? Because a lot of these players aren't full-time Magic pros anymore, but they will come to the ones that are easy to get to. And being like in a central location on the East Coast where this Pro Tour is, I think that we're going to see a lot of Hall of Famers. And as you might imagine, there's some of the best players in the room. So when they rise to the top, they will inevitably play each other. And there's a lot. This is a conversation that comes up about the Magic Hall of Fame a lot, which is that it just keeps growing, right? They've been putting people in this Hall of Fame for quite a while now. And now it's like more and more people, including active Magic pros like Owen Turtenwald and stuff, are in the Hall of Fame. And they're going to end up fighting each other almost guaranteed.
All right, so there's your bingo card for Pro Tour Dominaria. Play along at home coming up this weekend. I'm going to give Marshall a copy to play along with in the booth.
Ooh, in the booth?
Yeah. You've got a front row seat, man.
Do you trust me?
Why?
Well, like the first one I could just do.
I'm going to ask you.
Wow, this card sure is busted, and then like fill out my bingo form.
I'm going to ask you to keep integrity for the bingo here.
So you do trust me?
Slightly.
We'll see.
Slightly. Anyway, check it out this weekend. It's pretty sure to be sweet.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll be there. Thumbs up.